Hey, it's me again, back for another episode of Inside Indiana Overtime. I'm Alex McCarthy with Inside Indiana, of course. Here at Assembly Hall after Indiana squeaks out a victory against LIU-Brooklyn. I think maybe a little bit closer than most people would have thought. I was talking with a couple people today about how this wasn't a cupcake for IU. I mean, coming in, this was a team that made a playing game at the NCAA tournament last year. And granted, being a play-in team and being a former, a number one seed like IU was last year, there's a vast difference there. But these are also very different teams. I mean, IU lost a lot, obviously, from that team, and this matchup was really really tough for IU. LIU Brooklyn came in with a game plan to basically let IU shoot from behind the arc as much as they wanted in the first half, to an extent, of course, where LIU Brooklyn would really just jam the paint. Excuse me, and see basically if IU could beat them from outside, and in the first half they couldn't. IU makes, Yogi Ferrell makes the first shot of the game, which is a three-pointer, and then IU goes 26 minutes of game time without making another three-pointer. They make another one with, I think, 13 something or other left in the game. They go the first half, they're 1 for 16 from behind the arc, which is kind of an incredible number, especially after watching this IU team the past couple years. Obviously, a lot of their three-point shooters are gone now, and it's basically up to Will Sheehey, Yogi Ferrell, maybe Evan Gordon, maybe if you want to bring Etherington or Colin Hartman off the bench. That seems to be a place where you're going to get a lot of your three-point production, and they didn't get it tonight. In the first half, Ferrell and Sheehey and Gordon combined to shoot 1 of 15 from behind the arc, which is not ideal. IU goes into halftime down 3, and really is never, from that point on. It's fairly up in the air. The game is fairly up in the air. I think LIU Brooklyn led by as much as 9 in the second half, and then IU just kind of kept chipping away. Shot a great deal, but almost twice as well in the second half as they did in the first half. I think they shot something like 28% from the floor in the first half to 52% from the floor in the second half. So that that really kind of spurred their comeback there. And the performance of Will Sheehey, I mean, is the performance of a senior, of a guy who's been around, who realizes how to make in-game adjustments. I mean, he's we had people on our board saying during the first half, Sheehey shouldn't be a starter. They should sit him by the 10th game of the season. I think that he's going to be a bench player, things like that. Because, quite frankly, he had really one of his worst halves I've ever seen him have in the first half. He was 0 for 8 from the floor, 0 for 6 from behind the three-point line. His only points came, obviously, from the free throw line. And he had a couple really ugly turnovers. But then in the second half, he comes out, shoots, much, much better from the floor, and ends up scoring 15 points in the second half, ends up with a game-high 19 for IU, and it really hits a couple really, really big shots late in the game. He hits three three-pointers in the second half, and in the span of less than a minute, he hit back-to-back three-pointers to first tie the game at 70, and then to give IU a 73-70 lead, and that ended up being IU's last points of the game as they win 73-72. Kind of a crazy ending. Devin Davis grabs a rebound with 4.8 seconds left off a miss from Jason Brickman, who really lived up to his billing. He was Jason Brickman, the point guard for LIU Brooklyn, is the returning leader in the NCAA for assists per game. He had 14 in his first game this year. He had 10 tonight, 11 points, and had 2 shots at the end that would have won it for LIU Brooklyn. He had a layup that he missed, and that was where Davis got that rebound, and then Davis was fouled after getting the rebound, missed the front end of his one-on-one. LIU Brooklyn gets the rebound, passes out to Brickman, and he is forced to kind of take a running three-pointer that falls a little bit short. I don't even know if it touched rim, but definitely a scare for IU, and a pretty serious one at that. It exposed really how easy this team is to game plan for, or at least how easy this team right now is to game plan for. Where LIU Brooklyn, who granted it's a solid team, but it's not a Big Ten team. It's not Syracuse or Notre Dame or any of these, or even like maybe an Evansville. It's not a team that people look at on the schedule and think, oh, I mean, that could be a loss, something like that. But like I said, it's a solid team, not a great team. And the fact that they were able to come out and execute exactly what their game plan was against IU and force Indiana to do exactly what they wanted them to do is certainly an area of concern for IU fans. The shooting from behind the arc, Yogi Ferrell said after the game that he isn't worried at all, and who knows, how much of that is genuine, but they don't seem to be, real shaken at this. And even if they had lost, I don't think they would have really been that shaken. It was just, I don't know if this is necessarily a wake-up call or whether it's, it's something that's really, really going to change things. But it's certainly a game that exposed a glaring weakness for Indiana, is that when you make it one-dimensional, it struggles to do so. So it'll be interesting to see really how, because the Indiana of the first half and the Indiana of the second half are very, very different that we saw tonight. I mean, they're 6 for 10 from behind the arc in the second half after being 1 for 16 in the first half. But another area of concern, they only shot, I think, 3 free throws in the second half, which is odd for a team that shot 55 last game. So just a lot of kind of interesting things that really jump off the stat sheet here from this game tonight. Another thing that jumped off the stat sheet was obviously Noah Vonleh had his second straight double-double in his second collegiate game. He really in the first half, when Indiana couldn't really hit anything from outside, he was cleaning it up quite a bit with offensive rebounds and getting some putbacks. I think he had 11 points in the first half. He finishes with, I think, 17 and 11 rebounds, 17 points, 11 rebounds, and five of his rebounds were on the offensive end, which was huge for a team that shot really poorly tonight. So, certainly a positive sign there from Noah Vonleh, certainly a positive from Will Sheehy in the second half, but a lot of weaknesses being exposed here tonight for IU, and only its second game of the season, or its second regular season game rather. So it's just kind of maybe a little bit different from last year in that you couldn't really look at that team and be able to say, well, we can take this away from this team. We can take this away and make them do this. This year, obviously early on, LIU-Brooklyn can say, Indiana likes to get in the paint, likes to get fouled, likes to do that. Let's take that away, make them shoot from outside. And then Indiana did exactly that. So, we'll see, how much can really be done in a couple days here. And it'll be interesting to go over this stretch. That's this 7 games in 20 days that Indiana's kind of in the middle of. But the next test is going to be Samford on Friday night back here at Assembly Hall. It's at 7 again. Tonight's game is at 6. So it's back to a more regular time. So that it'll be interesting to see kind of which Indiana team we get to see, on Friday, whether it's the first half team here or whether it's the second half team for tonight. But until then, I'm going to be, not doing overtime. So we'll definitely see you Friday night, maybe Saturday for the football game, and then maybe Sunday for Indiana's next basketball game. So really, really busy weekend, a game every day of the weekend. So stick with us at Inside Indiana. We'll have tons of coverage, both for signing day and just for this big weekend of games. So stick with us. I'm Alex McCarthy for Inside Indiana, and you have a good rest of your Tuesday and Wednesday.